The rain felt less like water and more like a physical beating. Chloe Howard didn't dare look at her phone again. The last image, a text confirming her small savings account was overdrawn after the bank processed the toll fee, was burned into her memory. She pulled Lily closer, whose small, cold hand clung to her soaked jacket. Chloe was a freelance photographer, used to hustling, but tonight the city had won. $43 remaining, 0 options, and a 5-year-old who was shivering despite her quiet stoicism. They were stranded in the unforgiving New York night. Across the street, the ambient glow of the Cafe Moretti was a beacon of warmth and expensive coffee, a world Chloe didn't belong to. Pride was a luxury she couldn't afford for her daughter's health. "We'll just wait inside, baby," she murmured, pushing through the heavy glass door, the sudden rush of heat and coffee aroma nearly making her dizzy. The cafe was predictably full. Every seat claimed, except one. At a corner table, shielded from the chaos, sat a man reading an Italian paper. He possessed an aura of such absolute quiet control that the surrounding noise seemed to filter around him. Ralph Moretti. His dark, tailored suit looked dry, untouched by the storm. Chloe walked toward him, feeling the water drip from her hair onto the marble floor. Desperation stripped away her fear. "Excuse me, I'm sorry to bother you, but would you mind if we sat here, just until the storm passes?" He lowered the paper, his gaze moving instantly from Chloe's pleading eyes to Lily's small, pinched face. His eyes were dark, intense, and utterly unreadable, the kind of look that promised sharp intelligence and cold ruthlessness. "Sit," he commanded, the single word smooth and accented, but leaving no room for argument. Before Chloe could thank him, he raised a finger, and a waiter materialized. Hot chocolate for the girl, and soup. Then his dark eyes locked onto Chloe's again, the intensity ramping up to a possessive heat that made her skin prickle. His voice dropped, low and final. "But you are mine now." The words landed like a contract signed in blood. Chloe's breath caught as Ralph Moretti watched her with those dark, assessing eyes. She should have laughed it off, should have stood and walked away, but Lily's small hand was still cold in hers, and the warmth of the cafe was seeping into her daughter's shivering body. "I don't understand," Chloe managed. "You will." Ralph's accent made the promise sound like a threat wrapped in silk. The waiter returned with hot chocolate and minestrone that smelled like heaven. Lily's eyes went wide, looking to Chloe for permission. "It's okay, baby. Eat." Ralph watched Lily wrap her small hands around the warm mug, something shifting in his expression. "How old?" "5," Chloe said, protective instincts flaring. "Why?" "Because children shouldn't know what cold feels like, or hunger." He pulled out his phone, typed something quickly. "Where's her father?" "Gone. Not your concern." "Everything about you is my concern now." Ralph set down his phone and studied her. "That's what happens when you sit at my table, Chloe Howard." Her name on his lips sent an unwelcome shiver through her. "How do you know my name?" "I make it my business to know things." He stood, buttoning his jacket with practiced elegance. "In 3 minutes, you'll receive a notification. $50,000 deposited into your account. Consider it an advance." Chloe's world tilted. "An advance for what?" "For being mine." Ralph pulled out a business card and placed it on the table. Tomorrow, 10 a.m., this address. Don't be late. I didn't agree to anything. You agreed the moment you sat down. The money just makes it official. His gaze flickered to Lily one more time. Marco will drive you home when you're ready. A man in a black suit materialized beside their table as Ralph walked away, disappearing through a back door like smoke. Chloe's phone buzzed. The banking notification glowed. Deposit, $50,000. Her hands shook as she looked at the business card. Ralph Moretti, import and export consultant. An address in Tribeca that screamed money and power. "Mr. Moretti has arranged a car for you, ma'am," Marco said, his voice professionally neutral. That night, after being driven home in a car worth more than she'd make in 5 years, Chloe stood at her window, staring at her phone. $50,000. Life-changing money. Trap-setting money. She searched Ralph Moretti's name. The results were sparse. A few charity event photos, business registrations, nothing concrete. The absence of information was its own answer. She looked at her sleeping daughter, then at the bank balance, then at the business card. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. She'd already made her choice. The Tribeca brownstone was intimidating in its elegance. Chloe stood on the sidewalk the next morning, Lily's hand in hers, staring at the pristine brick facade and iron railings that probably cost more than her car. The door opened before she could knock. A silver-haired woman with sharp eyes, eerily similar to Ralph's, stood in the entrance. "You must be Chloe. I am Barbara Moretti, Ralph's mother." Her Italian accent was thick but warm. Then she looked at Lily, and her entire face transformed. "And this beautiful angel must be Lily." Barbara crouched down gracefully. "What is your favorite flower, sweet girl?" Lily peeked out shyly. "Pink roses." "Perfetto. I have an entire garden of them. Would you like to see?" Barbara's face lit up with genuine delight. Lily looked up at Chloe for permission. Chloe nodded, overwhelmed by the warmth radiating from this elegant woman. "Come inside, both of you. I have made cookies." Barbara ushered them through an entrance hall that belonged in a magazine. Marble floors, sweeping staircase, expensive art. She led them to a surprisingly cozy kitchen with copper pots and French doors opening onto a fairy tale garden. "Sit." Barbara placed warm chocolate chip cookies in front of Lily and poured coffee for Chloe. "Ralph told me about you, about last night." Heat crept up Chloe's neck. "I'm not sure what he said." "He said you were brave, a good mother. He also said he was yours now." Barbara sat across from her, shrewd eyes assessing. "My son does not say such things lightly." The bluntness stole Chloe's breath. Barbara continued, "Ralph has always been this way. When he decides something belongs to him, that is simply fact." She reached across and covered Chloe's hand. "I lost my daughter 5 years ago. Cancer. Ralph has been alone in his grief, and I have been alone in mine. Until now." Before Chloe could respond, Lily tugged her sleeve. "Mommy, can I see the roses?" Barbara stood immediately. "Of course, Piccola." She took Lily's hand and led her to the garden. Through the French doors, Chloe watched Barbara crouch beside Lily, pointing out flowers, her face animated in a way that suggested she hadn't smiled like that in years. Lily was laughing, reaching for a pink rose. "My mother never had a granddaughter." Chloe spun. Ralph stood in the doorway in a charcoal suit, watching the garden scene with an almost vulnerable expression. "I didn't hear you come in."
"I'm good at being quiet." He moved into the kitchen, his attention on the garden. "My sister had 3 boys. After she died, they moved to Italy. My mother hasn't seen them in 2 years. The pain in his voice made Chloe soften despite herself. She seems wonderful with Lily. She is. Ralph finally looked at her, intensity making her breath catch. You came. I knew you would. Yes. He moved closer. Did you sleep? Not really. Because of the money. Because of everything. Chloe stood, needing space. You bought me, Ralph. You looked at a desperate woman and bought her. Yes. No apology. Just acknowledgement. But if you want to leave, you can. Right now. Keep the money. No strings. Chloe's heart hammered. Really? Yes. He stepped back, giving her the choice. But we both know you won't, because that money solves immediate problems, not the bigger ones. Your car still needs repairs, your apartment has mold, your ex-husband is waiting for you to stumble, and Lily, his gaze flickered to the garden where her daughter was truly laughing, deserves better than constant fear. Every word was a knife cutting away her defenses. So what are you offering? Everything. Security, stability, a home where your daughter can laugh without you worrying about dinner, a life where you don't choose between pride and survival. And the price? You here, under my protection, under my control. He reached out, tucking hair behind her ear. I claimed you when you sat at my table, Chloe. Everything since has just been giving you time to accept what's already done. Barbara's laugh rang out from the garden as Lily presented her with a flower. Ralph saw where she was looking. My mother hasn't laughed like that since my sister died. You and Lily brought light back into this house. That's worth more than any money. Chloe closed her eyes, fighting the truth. She'd been alone so long, fighting so long, and here was this dangerous man offering an end to all of it. What's the photography job? Legitimate documentation of shipments, inventory, events. You're talented. The work is real. He paused. But we both know that's not why you're here. No. Chloe looked at him, really looked at him, and saw past the suit to the grieving man underneath. I'm here because I don't have another choice. You're choosing me, Ralph corrected. God, help her. He was right.
2 weeks passed. Chloe's belongings appeared in the brownstone, transported by silent men who didn't make eye contact. Lily had a princess bedroom that made her squeal with joy. Barbara taught her Italian words and baked constantly. The house smelled like vanilla and safety. The photography work was exactly as described, documenting wine and olive oil shipments at Ralph's Brooklyn warehouses. The men who worked there called her Miss Howard and treated her with careful respect. But she saw how they looked at Ralph, with loyalty, respect, and fear that told her everything about what he really was. One evening, Chloe was reviewing photos in Ralph's study when voices from the hallway made her pause. Ralph spoke in rapid Italian, his tone cold and clipped. 2 men responded, deferential but tense. The door opened. Ralph entered with 3 suited men. The conversation died when they saw her. Gentlemen, we're finished. Leave. Ralph's voice allowed no argument. The men filed out immediately. He closed the door and leaned against it. How much did you hear? Nothing I understood. You were speaking Italian. Good. He moved to pour scotch. Those men handle complex situations for me. Negotiations requiring delicate handling. Delicate handling, Chloe repeated carefully. You want to know if I'm what you think I am. The answer is yes. I facilitate transactions in gray areas. I protect interests through unconventional means. I solve problems others can't. Your Mafia? I'm a businessman who understands some business can't be conducted in boardrooms. He tilted her chin up. Does that frighten you? It should, but sitting with this dangerous man who'd given her daughter a fairy tale life and made his mother smile, Chloe realized something startling. She wasn't afraid of Ralph Moretti. She was afraid of how safe she felt with him. No. His thumb brushed her lip. You're either very brave or very foolish. Maybe both. You should be running. I know. But I'm not. The moment stretched taut between them. Then Ralph's phone buzzed. His expression went blank as he read the screen.
What? Chloe asked. Your ex-husband filed for emergency custody. He's claiming you live with dangerous individuals, providing unstable environment for Lily. Ralph's voice was ice. Someone hired investigators. He has photographs of you at my warehouses, of Lily here, of my security. The world tilted. He can't. Derek can't take her. He won't. Ralph gripped her shoulders. I'm ending this. Tonight. How? Watch. Ralph made 3 rapid calls in Italian. When finished, he looked at her with absolute certainty. Your ex-husband has interesting finances, offshore accounts, tax evasion, unreported real estate income. My lawyers will compile everything and submit it to the IRS by morning. By his custody hearing, he'll be too busy with federal investigators. Chloe stared, horror and relief warring. You can't just destroy someone. I can when they threaten what's mine. This is what I do, Chloe. Your enemies become my enemies. I always win. His eyes were hard. Do you want me to stop? I'll let the courts decide if you're a fit mother based on a man who abandoned you. Your choice. Chloe thought about Lily upstairs with Barbara, laughing and picking roses. About Derek, who'd left when fatherhood got hard and now wanted custody out of spite. About the safe life she'd built here. Handle it, she whispered. Ralph pulled her against his chest. I've got you, cara mia. No one's taking your daughter, I promise. Chloe buried her face in his suit and let herself break, just a little. By Friday, Derek's lawyer withdrew the petition. By Monday, Derek had left New York entirely. Chloe was learning the rules. Don't ask questions, trust Ralph's protection, accept what she was becoming. If you can't stand people who use others' desperation to trap them, hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments. Type, "Nobody deserves that," because what happened next only got worse.
The legal papers that had threatened everything were now ashes in Ralph's fireplace. Chloe sat on the leather couch, watching flames consume the last evidence of Derek's custody attempt, feeling hollow and relieved and terrified. "How did you really do it?" she asked quietly. Ralph stood by the fireplace, profile sharp in flickering light. "Do you want to know?" "I think I need to." He turned, expression colder than she'd seen. "I had people dig into his life, every transaction, every secret." Ralph poured himself a drink. "Your ex isn't just a deadbeat father. He's a criminal. Real estate fraud for 18 months, buying properties with laundered money, flipping them, hiding profits offshore." Chloe's stomach churned. "I didn't know." "Of course not. He was careful. My investigators are better." Ralph sipped a scotch. "I gave him a choice. Drop the case and leave New York,
or I hand everything to the FBI. He chose self-preservation. So, he's gone? Permanently. Ralph sat beside her, close enough that she felt his warmth. He won't return, because if he does, I'll destroy him completely. I'll make everyone he does business with know he's cooperating with federal investigators. Men like him don't survive that reputation. The ruthlessness should have repulsed her. Instead, Chloe felt overwhelming gratitude. You saved Lily. I protected what's mine. Ralph turned to face her fully. That's what you need to understand. I don't do anything halfway. When I claim something, I claim it completely. Your daughter is safe because she belongs to me now, just like you do. I'm not a possession. No, you're something more valuable. His hand cupped her face. You're my reason. The word hung heavy. Your reason for what? Everything. Ralph's voice dropped to a whisper. For getting up, for coming home, for building something that matters instead of just accumulating power. Do you understand what I'm telling you? Chloe did. It terrified her. This is too fast. I know. But it doesn't make it less true. The moment you walked through that storm, I knew. You were what I'd been missing. You don't even know me. I know everything that matters. I know you're brave, proud, you'd sacrifice anything for your child. I know you're drowning in guilt right now because you're grateful I eliminated Derek's threat, even though my methods were illegal. His hands framed her face. That doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. And mine. Lily's voice echoed from upstairs. Mummy, come see what Nonna Barbara and I made. Ralph's lips quirked at the Italian word for grandmother. She's teaching Lily Italian. I noticed. Chloe stood, needing space. I should see what they're doing.
Rolf caught her wrist gently. Chloe, look at me. She did, reluctantly. You don't have to understand this yet, but it's happening anyway. His thumb traced her racing pulse. We're happening, whether you're ready or not. Chloe pulled free and went upstairs, heart hammering. She found Lily and Barbara surrounded by a construction paper, creating an elaborate fairy garden collage. Mommy, look. Nana taught me beautiful in Italian. Bella. It's very Bella, baby. Chloe hugged Lily tight, breathing in familiar shampoo scent. This was what mattered. Her daughter, safe and happy. Even if the price was surrendering to a dangerous man who claimed ownership of her soul. Barbara watched with knowing eyes. You and Rolf talked. How do you live with what he is? I raised him to be what he is. Barbara said it without apology. In our world, strength is survival. Rolf learned that early. She touched Chloe's cheek with maternal tenderness. But he learned from his sister's death that power means nothing without someone to protect. You and Lily gave him that purpose again. I didn't ask for this. No, but you'll carry it anyway, because that's who you are. She smiled softly. You're strong enough to stand beside my son, strong enough to survive his world, strong enough to love him, even when it terrifies you. Chloe wanted to deny it. The words wouldn't come.
3 weeks after Derek's disappearance, Chloe had settled into a routine that felt normal and surreal. Days photographing shipments, evenings with family dinners in Italian, nights tucking Lily into her princess bed.
and trying not to think about falling for the man who'd bought her. It was past midnight when she admitted she couldn't sleep. Light showed under Rolf's study door. She should go back to her room, maintain distance. She knocked anyway. "Come in." Ralph sat behind his desk in dress pants and a white shirt, sleeves rolled up, tie gone. He looked more human than she'd ever seen, more accessible, more dangerous. "Can't sleep?" He set down documents. "Too quiet. I'm used to sirens." Partial truth. She couldn't stop thinking about him. Ralph moved to pour drinks. "Scotch?" "I don't usually drink. Tonight's not usual." He handed her a glass. "Sit. Tell me what's really keeping you awake." Chloe perched on the couch, aware of how little her silk pajamas covered. Guilt, mostly. About being grateful for everything you've done. Derek's gone. Lily's safe. I should be relieved. Instead, I feel guilty that I'm not more horrified by your methods. You're adapting. That's survival, not weakness. Is that what you tell yourself? Ralph sat beside her, close enough that their knees almost touched. I don't want to control you, Chloe. I want to possess you, your thoughts, your fears, your loyalty, your heart. The vulnerability in his admission made her breath catch. Ralph, I know you feel it too, this pull between us. You can deny it, fight it, run from it, but it won't change the truth. What truth? That you're already mine. You have been since that first night. His thumb brushed across her lip. The only question is when you'll stop fighting and admit it. Chloe's heart hammered. You're insane. Probably, but I'm also right. The space between them felt charged, electric. Chloe knew she should stand up, walk away, maintain the boundaries she'd been desperately trying to build. Instead, she found herself leaning closer. This is a mistake, she whispered. The best ones usually are. Ralph closed the distance between them.
The charity gala was a display of wealth and power that made Chloe uncomfortable in her borrowed designer gown. Ralph kept her close, his hand possessive on her lower back, as he introduced her to politicians, business moguls, and men whose cold eyes screamed illegitimate business. Barbara held court near the bar, with Lily, dressed like a princess, being doted on by women who whispered about Ralph's new family. "They're all watching us," Chloe murmured. "Let them." Ralph's voice was low in her ear. "They need to know you're under my protection." Near the champagne fountain, Chloe overheard two men in expensive suits speaking in low tones about the Kolminsky situation and how Moretti's weakness is finally showing. She told Ralph later. His expression turned glacial. "The Kolminsky syndicate has been testing boundaries. This ends now." "What does that mean?" "It means you and Lily don't leave the brownstone without security." His eyes held hers. "Can you trust me to handle this?" Chloe thought about Lily's laughter, Barbara's devotion, the life she'd built. Yes. The gala continued, but Chloe felt the shift. Men watched Ralph differently now, assessing, calculating. She'd become visible in his world, which meant she'd become a target. Ralph introduced her to a stunning woman in red, Sophia, who ran one of his consulting firms. The woman's smile was sharp. "So, you're the photographer who captured Ralph's attention. Impressive." "Thank you," Chloe managed. "Word of advice?" Sophia leaned in, voice dropping. "In this world, love is weakness. Protection is currency. Remember which one Ralph's offering you." The warning sent chills down Chloe's spine. Later, in the car ride home, Ralph was quiet. Lily had fallen asleep in her car seat, exhausted from being spoiled by Barbara's friends. "What Sophia said is irrelevant." Ralph's jaw was tight. "She doesn't understand that what I feel for you makes me more dangerous, not less. Anyone who threatens you will learn that. The Kolminskis are about to discover exactly what happens when they mistake love for weakness." The cold certainty in his voice should have frightened her. Instead, Chloe felt safer than she had all night.
The call came on a Wednesday afternoon. Chloe was at the warehouse photographing inventory when her phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello? Mrs. Moretti." The voice was accented, Russian. "We have something that belongs to you." Chloe's heart stopped. "Who is this?" "Check your messages." The photo made her knees buckle. Lily, in a dark room, crying, alone. Her scream brought security running. Within minutes, Ralph was there, his face a mask of cold fury as he studied the photo. "The Kolminskis took her from the garden. Barbara fought them. She's injured but stable." His voice was terrifyingly calm. "They want me to surrender territory for Lily's safe return." "Then do it!" Chloe grabbed his jacket. "Give them whatever they want." Ralph caught her hands, grip firm but not painful. "I will get her back, Chloe, but not by surrendering, by destroying them. She's 5 years old. She's terrified. And they're already dead." The cold certainty was absolute. "Trust me." He made 6 calls in rapid Italian. Men Chloe had never seen filled the brownstone, hard-eyed, armed, moving with military precision. Ralph checked a weapon, slid it into a shoulder holster. He looked at Chloe, and the mask cracked just slightly. "I will bring her home, I promise." Then he was gone. Chloe sat with Barbara, bruised but fierce, in the terrible silence. The older woman held Chloe's hand with iron strength. "He will get her back," Barbara said with absolute conviction. "My son does not break promises, especially not to you." "What if something goes wrong?" "Then the Kolminskis will learn why Ralph Moretti is feared." Barbara's eyes were hard. "He will burn their entire operation to ash before he lets them keep your daughter." 2 hours felt like 2 years. Chloe paced, prayed, bargained with God for her daughter's life. Finally, headlights in the driveway. Chloe ran. The door opened and Ralph entered carrying Lily, who was sobbing but alive. The moment Lily saw Chloe, she reached for her. "Mommy!" Chloe pulled her daughter into her arms, sobbing. "I've got you, baby. You're safe. You're safe." Ralph stood behind them, his suit spattered with blood, eyes still cold from whatever he'd done. "The Kolminskis?" Chloe asked over Lily's head. "Won't be a problem again." Ralph reached out and touched Lily's hair gently. "Ever." His knuckles were bruised and bloodied. Chloe didn't ask what happened. She didn't want to know. Ralph's eyes met hers. "You're mine now, both of you, forever. No one will ever touch what's mine again." This time, Chloe didn't argue. This time, she understood exactly what he meant. Comment protection over everything if you're Team Ralph. The Kolminskis couldn't win. Now watch what happens when she finally accepts her fate.
Ralph found them in an abandoned warehouse in Red Hook. The Kolminskis had been sloppy, overconfident,
They didn't expect him to move with such brutal efficiency. The assault was surgical. Ralph's men breached 3 entry points simultaneously. Gunfire lasted less than 4 minutes. Ralph moved through the chaos with terrifying precision, his weapon an extension of his will. He found Lily in a locked second-floor room, curled in a corner, sobbing. The moment she saw him, she launched herself into his arms. "Uncle Ralph!" He held her tight, one hand cradling her head, the other still gripping his weapon. "I've got you, Piccola. You're safe now." The warehouse was cleared. Kalminsky soldiers were neutralized. Their leader knelt in the center, hands zip-tied, bleeding from a head wound. Ralph handed Lily to his most trusted man. "Take her to the car. Now." Then he turned back to the Kalminsky leader. What followed was swift and final. A message sent to every rival who might consider targeting Ralph Moretti's family. When Ralph emerged, Chloe was waiting by the car. She'd refused to stay behind. The moment she saw Lily, she sobbed, pulling her daughter close. Ralph approached, suit bloody, eyes still cold. He reached out and touched Lily's hair, then looked at Chloe. "You're mine now," he said, echoing those first words. "Both of you. Forever. No one will ever touch what's mine again." Chloe met his gaze, this dangerous, violent man who just slaughtered people to save her daughter, and felt something shift permanently in her chest. "I know," she whispered. "I've always been yours." Ralph pulled both of them into his arms, and for the first time since the nightmare began, Chloe let herself break completely. He held them both, solid and unshakable, a fortress of violence and devotion. In the car ride home, Lily fell asleep against Chloe's chest, exhausted from trauma and relief. Ralph drove with one hand, the other reaching across to hold Chloe's. "What did you do to them?" she asked quietly. What needed to be done. His jaw was tight. "They took what was mine. There are consequences for that." "How many?" she asked softly. 8. He said it without emotion. The Kominsky syndicate no longer exists. Chloe should have been horrified, should have recoiled from the casual brutality. Instead, she squeezed his bloody hand tighter.
"Thank you," she whispered. Ralph glanced at her, something vulnerable crossing his features. "You don't thank me for protecting what's mine. You just accept it." "I'm accepting it." Chloe leaned her head against the seat, exhausted. "All of it. You, this life, the violence, the danger, everything. Why? Because you came for her. Because you kept your promise. Because," her voice cracked, "because I love you, Ralph Moretti. Even though it's insane, even though I shouldn't, I love you, Ralph Moretti." Ralph's hand tightened on hers. "Say it again. I love you." He pulled the car over abruptly, turning to face her. His free hand cupped her face. "I've loved you since that first night. Since you walked through a storm to protect your daughter. Since you sat at my table despite your fear. You are the only light in my darkness, Chloe. You and Lily. My family. My reason for everything." He kissed her then, desperate and claiming and full of unspoken promises. When they broke apart, both breathed hard, tears on both their faces. "Let's go home," Chloe whispered. Ralph nodded and pulled back onto the road. Behind them, the warehouse burned. Evidence destroyed. Message sent. Family protected. The Kalminsky threat was eliminated. Ralph's claim was absolute, and Chloe had finally stopped fighting what she'd become. His.
1 month after the kidnapping, life had settled into a new normal. Lily's nightmares faded with Barbara's stories and Ralph's steady presence. The little girl called him Uncle Ralph now, though everyone knew he was more father than uncle. Barbara recovered quickly, more worried about Lily than her own injuries. The Kauminski syndicate simply ceased to exist, their assets absorbed, their territory claimed, their name erased from New York's underworld. Chloe didn't ask questions anymore. She'd learned that some answers were better left unknown. One evening, she found Ralph in his study. He looked up as she entered, expression softening the way it only did for her and Lily now. "Can't sleep? I've been thinking." She sat across from him. "About that first night, when you said I was yours. Having regrets?" "No." The word came easily now. "I'm having realizations. You trapped me, used my desperation, manipulated circumstances to keep me here." He didn't deny it. "Yes, and I should hate you for it." Chloe stood and walked around the desk until she was directly in front of him. "But instead, I'm choosing to stay. Not because of money, not because I'm tracked, but because somewhere in all your manipulation and control, I fell in love with you." Ralph pulled her onto his lap, arms wrapping around her waist. "I knew you were mine the moment you walked through that storm. Everything else was just making you see what I already knew." "That's incredibly arrogant." "It's the truth." He kissed her temple. "I love you, Chloe Howard. I loved you before you knew my name. I loved you when you hated me for trapping you. I loved you when you finally admitted you loved me back. What happens now?" "Now?" Ralph's smile was genuine. "Now we build the life I promised you. Safety, security, family. Everything you and Lily deserve." In the doorway, Barbara appeared with Lily holding her hand, rubbing sleepy eyes. "Mommy?" Chloe smiled and reached out. Lily climbed into her arms, and Ralph adjusted so they both fit comfortably. Barbara watched, with tears in her eyes. "My family," Ralph murmured, looking at the three women who'd become his entire world. "Mine." Chloe rested her head on his shoulder, Lily already drifting back to sleep between them. "Yours, always." Outside, the New York night stretched on, full of dangers and darkness. Somewhere in the city, Ralph's enemies plotted and schemed. Somewhere, new threats were forming.
But inside the Moretti brownstone, surrounded by armed guards and fierce devotion, Chloe felt something she hadn't felt in years. Home. She'd walked into a cafe during a storm and asked a dangerous man for a seat. He'd given her that and everything else: protection, security, love wrapped in violence and control. The price had been her freedom, but looking at Lily sleeping peacefully, at Barbara smiling with grandmother's joy, at Rolf holding them both with fierce devotion, Chloe realized something. She'd never been more free in her life. Because freedom wasn't about independence, it was about choosing who you surrendered to. And she'd chosen Ralph Moretti, Mafia boss, dangerous criminal, violent protector, devoted lover. She'd chosen him, and he'd chosen her right back. "What are you thinking?" Ralph asked softly, his hand stroking her hair. "That I'd do it all again." Chloe looked up at him. "The storm, the cafe, sitting at your table, all of it." "Even knowing how it would end?" "Especially knowing how it would end." She kissed him softly. "Because this, us,
is worth every sacrifice I made." Rolf's arms tightened around her. "I will protect you and Lily until my last breath. You know that, yes?" "I know." And she did. Completely. Absolutely. "Good." Rolf stood, still holding both of them. "Let's get our daughter to bed. Then I'm taking you to ours and reminding you exactly why you're mine." Chloe laughed, genuinely laughed, for the first time since the kidnapping. "Is that a threat or a promise?" "Both." They carried Lily upstairs together, tucking her into her princess bed, surrounded by pink roses Barbara had arranged. The little girl murmured sleepily, "Love you, Mummy. Love you, Uncle Rolf." "Love you too, baby," Chloe whispered, kissing her forehead. Rolf bent and kissed Lily's head too. "Sleep well, Piccola. You're safe, always." They left her room, and Rolf pulled Chloe toward his suite, their suite now. In the hallway, Barbara stood waiting, a knowing smile on her face. "My son is happy again," she said simply. "Thank you for that, Chloe." "Thank you for loving Lily like she's yours." "She is mine." Barbara's smile widened. "You both are. Family is everything in our world. Remember that." In Rolf's room, he closed the door and pulled Chloe against him. "Mine," he murmured against her lips. "Yours," she agreed, surrendering to the truth she'd been fighting since that rainy night. She was Chloe Howard, single mother turned Mafia wife. She'd traded independence for protection, freedom for security, pride for love. And she'd never been happier. If you watched or listened up to this point, comment the country you are watching this from. Represent your country.